Hey folks, Jim here with Science Talk, and want to discuss with you a report that was published in the journal Nature Climate Change. And one of the primary investigators and authors is Walter Jetz, who's an ecologist and evolutionary biologist at Yale University, which is New Haven, Connecticut. And what they examined was how human growth, expansion if you will, is robbing other species of space they need. And basically, basic ecology 101 here. You've heard me discuss with you before several times, numerous times, how, as we encroach upon animals for, to use the land for whatever, there's less land available for the animals. You're harming the ecosystem. You're harming their very chances for survival. And encroachment, habitat loss, and destruction are one of many factors that is bringing about what we're in the middle of, the sixth mass extinction. Excellent book by Elizabeth Kolbert. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. So it should not come as a surprise to you. As human population increases and grows more and more, that's doing what? That's placing greater demand for resources. Demand on land for housing, demand on land for food, demand on land to set up businesses, etc. And then when you consider how much the regions of the planet that have climate suitable for humans, putting aside what's happening with now climate change making many areas soon to be uninhabitable, but when you take that, there's not much room to place all these humans. We're trying to place more and more people on a finite planet with finite resources. Something is going to give. Scientists can now name 1,700 creatures at ever greater risk. And I'm going to share with you some of them. Let's start with the Nyolechwe. Probably butchering the pronunciation, but anyway. That's an antelope that lives in the swamps of Ethiopia and South Sudan. Its Linnaean name, scientific name, is Cobus megaceros. It's a meter high at the shoulder, so you can't miss it. Except that you could. Why? Because humans are moving in on its habitat, and the habitat, lives in swamps. So swamps are being drained. They're being drained for farmlands or for cattle. Another one, the Lombok cross frog of Indonesia. Scientific name, Oreophrine monticola. The curve-billed reed haunter, Limnornis curvirostris. They live in the marshes of northeast Argentina. They are risking being extinct by 2070 simply because humans intruding on at least half of their geographical ranges. Now, this is no surprise. Biologists, climate scientists, conservationists have been saying for decades this is going to be a problem. Dangerous combination of human population growth, habitat destruction. Now we add climate change into the mix, and we're putting whole ecosystems at risk. This will hasten the extinction of many species. Add to, I've already mentioned habitat loss, but add to that just basic pollution, not even climate change, just basic pollution. Fouling the air, water, whatever chemicals get released. Just stuff like that. And sometimes over-harvesting. And here's the kicker. A lot of these species that are under threat, many that underwrite the provision of food, medicine, fabric for the world's cities, air, water purification system which human civilization is founded. In other words, some of these swamps and seagrass beds, marshes, estuaries, those are purification places. Now, these warnings that have been issued are based on projections of economic growth, urban demand, and climate change continuing basically under the assumption that humans keep doing their activities. As I said, this is a study published in the journal Nature Climate Change. They collected data on the geographic distributions of 19,400 species, combined this with 4 different projections of future changes in land use. That's a euphemism that basically translates for scorched earth, cut down trees in the forest, burn the forest, drain the swamp, plow the grasslands over. You get the idea. They identified 1,700 species that, even with moderate changes in land use, will lose roughly a third to half of their present habitat by 2070. It's only 50 years from here. This total includes 886 species of amphibian, 436 species of birds, 376 species of mammals. This loss of living space accentuates the hazard to their survival. Statement by Professor Jetz. Losses in species populations can irreversibly hamper the functioning of ecosystems and human quality of life. He continues, while the biodiversity erosion in faraway parts of the planet may not seem to affect us directly, its consequences for human livelihood can reverberate globally. It is also often the faraway demand that drives these losses. Think tropical hardwoods, palm oil, or soybeans, thus making us all co-responsible. Soybeans. Soy milk, tofu, right? Yeah, we're all responsible. So, scientists, just the latest study of scientists quantifying, as human population grows and grows, with more encroaching on habitat, more destruction of habitat, more pollution, more demand. The system is not, this is not sustainable. Not only for the animals, for the species in jeopardy, but for humans as well. This is not sustainable. Paul Ehrlich, professor of Stanford U, wrote in the 70s, The Population Bomb, Time Bomb. And he said, basically, he warned of human overpopulation. And he was ridiculed. Boy, was he ridiculed. Well, he's not being so ridiculed these days, is he? People coming around saying, he had some points, didn't he? By the way, some calculation is interesting. The carrying capacity for humans on this planet. Now, carrying capacity is defined as the number of organisms, the number of individuals of a species that a habitat or an ecosystem can support based on available resources. And resources, of course, would be food, water, available spaces to live. The carrying capacity for humans, meaning that we can have a sustainable system, is 100 million. We're at 7.5 billion, approaching 8 billion. We're 75 to 80 times above the carrying capacity. It's amazing. Shit hasn't hit the fan already, but we're seeing signs of it. And the next war is likely going to be fought over availability and access to clean water, not oil. That's my opinion. In which case, Canada is looking the best. Canada, when you look at all the other nations, Canada has the most water per person, per capita. They have a lot of it. As I said, I'm surprised the shit hasn't hit the fan, but I suspect it will soon. Thank you for your time. Talk soon. Hey friends, this is Jim reminding you to subscribe and share my videos. Also, don't forget to click the bell so that you know when I drop a video in. And I'm also asking for you to please support the work that I do by becoming a patron at patreon.com. Details in the description box below. Thank you for your continued support.